Hello. We've had some kind of technical problems, but we're uh, we're we're going through live action scripture, the prequel to the stories that we've been showing people the last 2 years. We have a live action scripture. Latest live action scripture is available on our YouTube channel for our church, the All Faith Liberation Church, and um, the what we're going to show now, what we had was episodes 1 through 8 last week, and now we're going to do 9, hopefully through 14, and just do it until we get to the new place. So here we are. Now this is a place that we've gone into our friend Penn's head, which is our friend brother Gail dealt with dissociative identity disorder through a very hard childhood. He escaped into his mind, and he had other personalities. Now, through the writing of what we've done with our writing committee led by A. Nancy Spider, who's kind of a ghostwriter for people that works with our church. What she and Gail were able to do was put all the things that were in his head onto paper, and therefore less of a danger to him, and more of something that he could be entertained by and inspire people with. And that's the great thing. We're going to have a book called Visions of Exaltia will come out in the next couple months, maybe even sooner, and I'll be letting you know about that too. But anyway, during the course of our game, we went into his head, and into Penn's head, which is the character that Gail plays. Now we're going to do episode 9. King Melchizedek and his 5 loyal servants found themselves in a world of mists. "Where is our friend?" he asked his men. "Where is the witch of Endor?" It's so hard to see anything. Are we in our friend? Are we in our friend Penn? A vision in the mind of the king, envisioning the mind of one of these two. The mist lifting, the veil that they were in clearing, the veil they were in. A man emerged from the mist, a knight from the night, a paladin named Myrrh. The paladin looked to the king and said, "The vision in your head was the paladin I was traveling alongside, one who could have been my bride, or at least a fellow traveler for life. A warrior I'd forever fight beside, even if she would never be my wife. She and I have not seen anything of the other in many a year. She was my friend, my lost one, my mirror." Meanwhile, someone who wasn't there was now here, bearing a book in her hands, and a spider, ballooning in from somewhere, landed on Marta's fig branch staff. King Melchizedek saw himself, as others yet to come might see him, in the company of others who to them seem alike unto him, understanding that in his place memories follow men, and follow women all who would leave any trace through the mist. "Yea," Myrrh exclaimed, "the same is true for me and my old friend Mir, and for all those other memories that with us appear. She and I did much to discover, to uncover, to recover our past through the mist, but we were never allowed by the one by whom we were endowed, our Archimandrite, to share our charters, our maps we made. Of all the shifts, all the wrong lines in the song lines, and what's gone right. Without sharing our charters, we're like characters without plots or parts in a play which no longer exists. Thus the sadness, the madness persists. These charters, we paladins of Exaltia, make our way quite literally. We make our way, and thus where we go is what we say." King Melchizedek conferred with his men, and meanwhile the woman Marta remembered her old friends. Remembered all those incredible women she'd learned from and preached beside. "What must we do?" Melchizedek asked the stranger in the strange land. "What must we do to get through? Through the mist," Myrrh averred. "It's as simple as this. Take your charter, the page in your mind. You record what you find, and picture the first place that comes into it." "Well, not I. I should not ply the future with my scry. I I know not where we should all try, Marta said by and by. When I first came here, I was looking through the sky, the earth, and all that's low and high. For a city I have heard much of, and with much love and hate, too much above and below to state, der Stadt, el Ciudad, the city called AI. Well, I say, I know not any city called AI, so said the spider with his arms held high. But dare I say, we'll all need a chariot to ride. And in the Holy Rollers Dice Club, we have a scroll. We call it the subchannels. The one called Game So Far has a bunch of pictures of spiders weaving webs and creating a chariot for them to now travel the world through and the universe through. Very good, and he says, "Tada! Very good, there, friend Spider." The king nodded. "That's a goodly conveyance for whatever hence is plotted. I would go into such a webby vehicle, yea. What dost ye, man? What dost ye all say?" They all said, "Yea." So much it seemed there was more than just 5 of them. Everyone jumped aboard, the king, his men, their new friends Marta, the spider, and the paladin called Myrrh. "Go ahead, then," directed Myrrh. "Picture the first place you picture in your mind." And King Melchizedek pictured a picture, thought a thought, a place he hadn't seen nor heard nor been in since the time of Lot. Salem. They made their way through the street King Mel knew as a lad, a street he grew to manhood strolling, looking for that great coffee place he used to go. Veering down one fork, through a passage under arches, to a dead end. Where is it? Where is that place? It was my favorite cafe in all my city. It was right here. The taste of coffee burnt his tongue and kept burning his tongue, even though it was iced. The taste brought him out of the illusion he was home. A shock, but with Paladin Myrrh's guidance, he rode past the burn, rode the spider's craft through the mists, riding his own feelings, desires, fears, resolutions, binding them all together, weaving ground out of the mists, weaving the ground into hills. Worry not, it is that way. This is what Myrrh the Paladin did say. The course through the mists changed with the thoughts of any who passed, and when there was no one, nothing was cast. Therefore nothing lasted. The memories influenced until they were forgot or broken. All this soon the Paladin had spoken. Then he turned to the woman named Marta. "Are you sure you cannot picture a place and cast your memories upon a space, creating rather than waiting round for grace?" "My past is a place beyond the hand of grace, and my future is not to be grasped," said Marta, tracing the face of the cover of her book. She could not remember whether lover, mother, sister, daughter, or friend the giver of her book was, is, and will be in the end. So there is only the present in which we are present. Everything's a present when in her presence everything is merry. Remembering Marta and silencing Tara tore Mara by making her merry. Remembering that, tracing the glyph of her on her grimoire, opening it to a page she saw, then the saying someone said before. The saying sung hung round her neck even now. "Walk on, Marta, lead with your heart, share your light, Mary." Marta knew of no one of hers who would take her anywhere other than the mission, her mother or daughter or lover or friend, or teacher in the end, had commissioned, to get to the city of AI. Other than that, Marta decided, there'd be no place for me to fly. "What about you, Spider? Can you picture something like home?" The spider thought deeply, picturing deeply the deepest web, the web of all the universe. The spider followed its thought, and all followed along, webbing first one moon, then another, always singing its song, landing on a moon and crawling around, finally bouncing to the next moon from the silver to the blue, making its way with its friends closer to the ruined tomb or temple or castle or monastery. They rode their webbed chariot through the lower gates of the edifice into a long, low hallway. They realized all of them that they were still in the mind of their friend. All this world, all the worlds, moons, climes, monuments, rains, and the mists, all the books, All this was a world away. Their friend Pen had got away. And the book they found as they broke ground, their hearts pound, the silent sound of lunar storms. The book was named the Book of These, a secret book of Maelstrom, the arcane storm which long ago Pen ended. Arcane Maelstrom wrote the book down in their hands, the prize which lies forever and ever in their lands. These are mummies, King Melchizedek exclaimed. As my neighbors to the south in ages past clothed their departed loved ones in preservatives both inside and out, so they might in their way live forever. How strange that ancient Kemet and ancient Exum in Nubia, yea, even faraway Greece seems to have representatives hence. It is not what you think, Mer explained. These mummies, these corpses, did not drink of any elixirs of immortality. Nay, they are the victims of my paladin comrade's greatest enemy's brutality. Ah, it seems that you've explained this before, Marta said as the rain began to fall in the corridor. Aye, the king said, you spoke to this of the secret storm, this arcane maelstrom, this book of these. Did you not say it was somewhere back there, or is already in this Exaltia, the exalted world's lore? Arcane maelstrom killed these poor people, mummifying them with the sheer force of his evil. The paladin's enemy killed those who raised him, who kept him here, thus starting a long, nigh endless war. Skating past the mummies, the vampires, heeding the call of some further shore, with their book in their hands, the party pushed through the final door. Episode 10. The great green dragon was flying nigh fast as lightning, following the wake of her own fiery breath, pressing on to the north, on to Anak, on to her eternal enemy. Harmony far, the farmny far, away, saying her clanging hate, hanging in space above this fray. In the old palace, the orcish god Sagar Margark, the eater of power, whilst Harmony's army gathered stronger by the hour. One by one, the great dragon incinerated the legions of her enemy, Anakim going up in steam, dying in their iniquity. Finally, turning away from the battle on the ground, the dragon aimed high, trying to tear false Harmony's ice palace from the sky. The palace was Arklock's pyramid of green sky fire, matched the green dragon's urge against it, paying her back with the same force she threw at it, till she was almost frozen in burning ice. The dragon managed to pull away, only to be shot by volleys of arrows, volleys of shot, volleys of catapulted molten lead. Without knowing how, without remembering her path back home, the dragon found herself in her lair hours and hours later, drifting, snoring in thunder, sleeping, dreaming that she still had someone around to fuck with to distract her from her long, long years. Episode 11. We never asked you, King Melchizedek, you goodly knight, goodly paladin. We never asked you where would you like to go? Me, Mer? I thought you'd never ask. And he led them all down a string of web, beneath and behind and beyond all reality, in Spider's webby chariot in the city of Exaltia. After traveling the night, they arrived in the capital of the world, the capital of the paladins, Exaltia. They followed King Mel's thought, the picture in his mind Paladin Mer encouraged, coming to the hanging gardens of Exaltia. They walked all around, enjoying the arcades, the many gorgeous scents, the pleasant waters of the flow of the waters. But eventually they made their way toward the Palace of the Archimandrite, floating up the river to Capitol Square, following paths of pavement and paths of canal until they ran into a big pile of books. They were being burnt, with people, citizens of the strange city, gathering around, throwing them in. What are these people doing? King Melchizedek shouted out to the Capitol Square. But the only thing that answered him was the air, a burning heat all through the street, from the large brazier over there. Man was pushing a cart of books, gazed up from his book at them, shouted at them. "You got some book you thinks mightn't burn, fellas?" "What's that?" The king demanded. The man make sense. "What are you all, why are you all firing all these books in a pyre then? And why do you need ours?" Martha said softly what King Mel said loftily. "What is all this nonsense about?" The fellow looked up and down, bringing them aside to the little storefront, then explained. All these fine folks are trying to find slow pokes, the books late to burn. If they can find just one book that won't, then that book which don't shall be given to the Archimandrite so she might learn. Or maybe some extra lives, extra magic, extra cash we all might earn. So let me get me hat on here. Let me get my pipe fixed up right, ready there. Now cometh hence, and give me a chance to exchange a book. Just give me a look. One of mine for one of yours. Ye, my lady, and all you good sirs. Come on, exchange what you got for one of my wares. Martha contemplated the book in her hands, the book of these. She saw how the man lunged for it, listened for how he haggled for it, lit her branch for light, for weapon, if he would say not take no for an answer, and kept tracing the sigil, the glyph upon the cover. "Not to worry," the book cart fellow said. "Just let me adjust. Get me spectacles on, change this hat, arrange me beard there. Now let me see that book of these over there. Or better yet, let me let down all me hair, and ask ye, good folks, if you wouldn't give me that book of these, then could you give it to my cat? Please, pretty please." "Nay," said Martha, "that's okay. Yea," King Melchizedek said, "we'll be on our way." And the crew of kings, servants, holy women, knight and spider joined the masses to burn the ashes, or not. The book of these, all yous, no me's. Keep calm and put it in the burn book. The book in the brazier toasted, till the book of these soaked in the rainy moon palace corridor dry, leaving the ink not smeared, the writing itself becoming clear. The crowd cheered, coming round the party with glad hands and pats on the back. "You have it, the only book we've seen in moons and moons that does not burn." And they walked through the crowd, through the cloud, cutting through the shroud, up a flight of crystal steps, up until the highest place in all the land, the chambers of the Archimandrite. They came into a hall, where a crowd of petitioners stood around awaiting audience with the ultimate leader of the city. My leader," Paladin Merce said, bowing head. "My Archimandrite." Paladin led them to the crowd, past it. Meeting along the way a woman who looked like a female version of him, and Pen. Pretty much everyone in this world looked like a version of Pen. Passing her up, as she embraced Myrrh, whispered, "My mirror." Passing through a gate of mirrors, passing everyone else, the party was ushered in and stood before a woman on a throne whose face was always turned away, in her lap a skull. It was the skull that spoke. "How wondrous ye, good servants," the skull roared. "How wondrous ye to bring me back my book." The party looked to each other. The king was grateful he'd had his servants bring the Ark of the Covenant with them. Here, he thought to access its power, but he knew not yet how. Martha held the book of these, kept tracing its sigil. The king's servants held tight to the ark and held back. The spider? The friendly bug shot a web at the skull, trying to put it away from the faceless woman. The skull got more real, a dragon skull, and the little spider began to feel the web strand bite, suck, pull, and cut off the strand before it became the skull's meal. They all felt they had no choice. Whenever these books, or the book of these, they were stuck in the world, the skull was pleased. Until the skull was pleased. So, falling back around the ark, they took a shot in the dark and handed the book over lest it be seized. As the hand of the faceless woman, the Archimandrite came down over the book of these. The spider looked up from the book it was perched upon. "You're looking at me? No, I'm looking at you," and jumped away. 1,000 years went by in an instant, the skull, the lich, devouring the book with his eyes and with his damned soul. The creature grew as the faceless woman laughed. You shall understand the mystery in your hand. The world we are in, the man was beholden to me, beholden thee, holding the skull upon my lap. But now I am gone, just another bad mom, while the skull shall now forever go on. And a woman named Michelle came out of her shell and went to her own hell, while the skull became more. The world now tore apart her heart, rendered into script, into play, into art, leaving the skull to a new rival dragon form. Will this beast be a rival to the green dragon we escaped? The king asked, agape. Well, little slaves, you're getting warm. And the whole party and all they carried were thrown down through a mirror into the great hall of mirrors, leaving Myrrh and Mere and all that is here, ending up alive and well and no longer alarmed. On the face of the dragon's mountain, safe on the ground, safe and sound. Episode 12. A world was in Pen's eyes, a world that opened last, after everyone else on the mountainside opened theirs. The heroes and heroines of this mountain myth, Marta, Melchizedek, his 5 servants, Pen, and the fairy they were with, all awoke to the roar of thunder. What is that horrendous storm? Marta looked up into the nigh cloudless sky. I haven't heard sounds like that since before I was born. 'Tis enough to make me die. Marta looked round to her friends. Is this a normal sound in this country? She pressed. This thunder with no rain, hardly even a cloud? 'Twould indeed be a lie to say this day any storm should storm so loud. Don't stress. Though he'd said this, Melchizedek felt it best to inform his new friend, whom he saw as his guest, Marta wearing her umber, crimson, and saffron dress, that he suspects. Mayn't it not be the dragon? Pen opened his eyes and nodded his head. That's a sound I've heard before. A sound it took us 7 weeks of slavery to score. Yea, said one of the king's servants, it was that way. And they recalled the long hours of hardly sleeping, always working, smoothing out 1,000 cubits of dragon flesh with their own arms, to a service they all had to pay, trying to get the dragon to fall into slumber. Yea, this is most likely the same thunder. The fairy Fae reflected all the land, and felt through the air that she had no hand, though she had no hand, the depth of the dragon's snores. Measuring her breath, she saw the wars the dragon just fought, realizing through the threads of reality pulling tight round her disparity that she'd been caught, stuck in what the fuck, a cloud that pulled her proud soul from her body and left her without, hardly even alive. And they all lifted their eyes to what the Fae had spied. Though she had neither eyes nor face, they all saw the consternation of the dragon, her defeat. Almost frozen in that frozen place, she was beat. And the Fae told all the way the dragon failed, drawing her up as the poisonous green clouds that died got her jailed. She broke away, but whether the weather or something or someone else made the play, yea, of all this I cannot say. She felt the dragon's passing memories pass a whole long day, till she could feel her death so real, so nigh, her breath's surreal attempts to heal lest she die. 'Tis so desperate the poor beast might even pray. Yea, yea, mused the Fae, the poor old dragon surely had a very bad day. Bad day? Pen looked to his friends. Friends he knew him, like they walked around a while in his soul. I know well what a bad day feels like. It feels like right now. There is a dragon inside me, Pen explained to Marta, who queried kindly, gently about the state of his soul. There is a dragon inside you. It fills the hole once filled by my trauma. Now its lich form gets warm and warmer. And, Marta surmised, might itself grow large enough to be a rival to yon dragon y'all call the green dragon up there, snoring for her survival. Indeed, spat Pen, and no matter what I do, I'm trembling, just waiting for the arrival. Waiting for his arrival. And with that, Pen walked over and sat under a tree, sulking silent, knowing that though he was outwardly peaceful, inside him deep was something violent. Melchizedek looked up to the Fae, to his friend Marta, to his servants, and said, "Maybe this is an opportunity for us to contemplate and collect ourselves, to consider. Up yonder is the icy palace of swirling light, green sky fire that, according to our friend the Fae here, almost destroyed the green dragon. And now we know that there is at least one other dragon, that skull-lich creature we met inside our friend, Pen. And let us recall our vision at the beginning of all this, that vision from the mist, the red dragon that tried to kill the woman who we know is Ashura, meant to be forever the love of my God, my father El. Could there be now three dragons? Three who are enemies to one another? Any of whom could be involved in the plot to keep my heavenly father from my earthly mother? What can we do about all this? What say ye, Sister Marta, Sister Fairy? What say ye, my trusted beloved servants? And what say ye, Pan, my brother? What else can I say? Marta said to Pan. What else can I do but pray? And Marta sat down in lotus in the hillside, the lakeside, and meditated. And so shall I, the king said to his servants, gathering round the ark, and said, so shall we. Go ye, my five servants. Trap ye 2 turtle doves, yea, fetch me and hew me a pole, at least a yard in length, so that I might set it in the ground beside the ark of the Lord. Pray unto my mother and father to together send us a sign. Revelation 12, 1-6. The sky opened up, and a great sign appeared in the sky. Woman from so many visions, enchained in thorns, barbed in wire, bleeding. From the holy heart of the world to be, a message came down to all of thee. Mother is imprisoned, kept from hell, sending both mother and father into hell. And the green dragon's enemy is the reason why. She sits upon a throne here in the sky. False harmony, harmony far. She uses Anakim, the red dragon, and to make war, to make peace with the beast, and keep our lady, our mother, behind prison bars. How do we save you, O mother? Before anyone could answer the king, a hand arose from the bloody prison of our lady in the heart of the universe, reaching down from the sky, reaching for the Ark of the Covenant. But Marta blocked the hand and was grabbed instead. And the Fey fairy jumped up to save Marta, but her hold on her was less than she would have wished. Meanwhile, Marta, curious, fearless, still wanted to protect the Ark. Protect her friends, offered no resistance. Instead, she talked to the hand, hoping to gain its ear. Melchizedek talked to the Ark, talked to his God. El Shaddai, he intoned, please help our sister get free. Maktia fry. And con muchos idiomas de fe, pushed the Ark slid away, begging God to save the day. And with that, the long arm of the law of crime became a staircase. Stairway to heaven. They followed it up, wishing it was an escalator, not knowing who or what might be waiting for them up there. The world turns. Episode 13. Page by page, leaving heroes and villains and dragon to find their way through. They were taken from each other into mists, each one waking up in a different place. Marta awoke in the shade of a great tree. The mountain she felt somehow was her mother behind it. She shook herself and lost herself and read herself in her own passing pages. She paged past. She saw herself in a different light, saw her future. Following along in her book, pages, chapters, and verses, till she got to Alexandria, Egypt. Aiming to get there around the same year, she found her fear. She missed the time, ended up nowhere. But Marta held tight to her book's light and found her way to a better day, where a pretty Curie roared her roll and started to play. Marta heard a band playing as the kitty played. Grateful Dead, a solo freed forever from its fingers flowed, and with it Marta. Grateful Dead, Rocking the Cradle, Egypt, 1978. Marta flipped back, not knowing how or why, finding her way back in time and further inland. ending up in Damascus about 1,000 years earlier. Marta found her way to an armory, a forge, looking to repair a sword that seemed no more than air. Ending up getting two rose petals damasked into the blades. Marta followed the rose petal path back through the pages of her book, back to the great tree nigh Holy Mother Mountain. When have I been here before? Recalling only that she had an altercation with the sword maker, which did not go well. Sad, Martha sighed. Sad, nasty fellow, I sent him to hell about the minute he said hello. It wasn't long after the swordman's salutation that the bastard made his sad flirtation. Rude, Martha spat, and her mood had gone flat, but not before she cut him with the swords just a little below his hat. Then ran here. Feeling the great valley, the mountains, the lake was like home, though she knew she'd never been here before. She climbed the tree through the dreamtime symbols and words floating in the air. She got nigh the top. Almost met someone who looked a little, almost too much, like her. The woman reminded her of her old friend Mary, who, among many friends named Mary, worked and preached and loved alongside her. She said her name was Sophia. She said she sensed something of her own line in Marta. You descend from me, new friend. Somewhere there you are my ancestor, too. Marta felt her memories like a ladder, double helix winding. She stepped back through time, stepped back up the ladder of her own ancestry to find God, the God she was once long ago, Kalik Andikel, her own greatest grandfather, the woman Sophie's father. In his hand, she, Marta, had written the end of the last universe, and she wrote. The green dragon's rage was so great that the end of the world, the end of the age, was what she ate. Raging against harmony far forever, that was their fate. With this wisdom from Sophia, Martha realized she, the tree, and all these, her ancestry, were in a sphere. She saw others down by the trunk who once had been drunk on pain and pleasure, on labor and leisure, and stiffness and seizure, but now the old Neanderthal Ranzare and his two friends who were two ends of the same fey or elf on the book or book on the shelf, a book inside our self, Aurelia, onward, down from the way, declining nouns, declaiming sounds that made a trinity of he and they, she and she, once night and day. Marta felt she knew the Neanderthal man. She felt she knew these two elfin women, or both sides of one elfin woman. She could not say how she knew them, but part of her had stepped with them through a threshold, some gateway to another dimension, or into the collapse of dimensions. Marta was becoming aware of how many lives she lived. What is this place? What is really? Why is it all inside a bubble, some sphere like a crystal ball? It is simple, young friend, the Neanderthal shaman at the base of the tree said. We've been hiding this tree from a powerful enemy. An enemy, he went on, that I used to march on the same side of. Sophia, high above, with all the ancestors, the siblings, children, and grandchildren, all her love, agreed with the fellow and her friends down below. Yes, the caveman Ranzare said slow. She and I, that Neanderthal priestess, that white witch queen beyond our sky, she and I were once thicker than blood, but now I hate her and hate her machinery, her technology, like Lud. The tree itself, herself, themselves, spoke to the he and Marta, herself, the she and Kalik Andikel. The trees spake thus. We are the image of tree, and have survived many turns of this world. Marta and all her friends hung on tight, as tree put herself right. We are attacked by our enemy at all times. You must fight just to stand upright. How long has this gone on? Marta demanded. And the tree and all the goddesses' names and all the universes, longer than night, longer than sight. Longer, old Ranzo said, than the longest teeth can bite. At least we hope so. Marta saw the shield, the shell, round this world of the tree, was there to protect the tree, the air, and all the mountains here and there. Ranzare and the night and day and night, Aurelia's, Sophia and all their family kept the tree away from the queen of hate, hater of night, hater of day, Harmony Far, who grabbed Marta from the ground with a hellish heavenly hand back into the world, had failed to keep her, and the tree did sweep her into a space of haven, her heaven. But a prisoner she, the tree, and all her family was, inside this bubble, afraid to be made or unmade, this family trembled at the thought of trouble. The shield keeps harmony out, but it keeps us in. So Sophia ended the question before it could begin. Marta looked up. So y'all shut a gate which you cannot now open. Very well. I can figure the puzzle, unlock this heavenly hell. Yay! Get us able to come in or go out as we choose as well. I've been mostly an observer, the Neanderthal intoned. Like a magazine made of Thorazine, a lead life preserver. We're all mad. They all said, sad, then rallying glad. They said, we're snug inside this crystal bag. It's not so bad. Well, that's as may be, Martha thought maybe. But if this tree is like our baby and also our mother, then we should be able to get her out of here when we want her here or there, to be as free as the air. That's why we'll play a game of guessing with the freedom of the air. Move about the atoms till we get a hole in the cage. Then we'll withstand harmony's rage. Then we can open and close like a shutter. Marta took a long time meditating deeply all night into the next morning, picturing the atoms and their various bondings floating round and through the air, picturing the forces that move them, deriving from them and mixing freely, picturing a chess game with more than two players. Each atom cluster was playing all the others in the air. So Marta simplified it. She climbed to the very top of the tree. She climbed higher. And she began playing chess with the end of this world, the end of the atmosphere, the end of what she saw as time and space. She felt it wasn't the first time. She played a round of moves and counter moves against the atmosphere, against the combination of its lock. She found herself losing the battle, but she kept trying. She walked across the board made of untold clusters of atoms and ions, following by some force hard to picture, nipping at her heels. Marta rode the waves of trance, rode her astral body out of her body, till she got to a higher level of the atmosphere, and kept playing till she got to her adversary, the mindless forces of wild and wattage, electrical strong and weak nuclear forces and gravity, picturing the hand that brought her here to this place somewhere in Harmony Far's cloud palace in the sky, and bringing it under her control, forcing the game to its conclusion, breaking apart all of the illusion, and putting it together again in shapes of her own choosing. People celebrated, old Ranzo congratulated, and Sophie and her great tree was emancipated, leaving Marta to look up into the clouds, which were now a wall whose gate was in her hand, and wondered where her old friends were. Episode 14. King Melchizedek, his 5 loyal servants, his friend Pan, and Pan's 7 tardigrades made it through amidst the pages into a place above heaven, though lower than hell, following a long series of corridors, stairwells up and down, and sideways and through, till he and Pan and the servants found a sarcophagus of what must have been a god. A thought of a checkerboard danced across their thoughts, and they stood with the Ark of the Covenant before the sarcophagus. "'Tis a god before our God," Melchizedek thought aloud, "and I feel a competition, as if he were playing draughts across a board, chess or senate or backgammon. But I fear not. There is no anger in this god, this Dagon." "Nay," Pen said, allowing his tardigrades to enter and play about in whatever consciousness dreamt in that coffin. "I see nothing here but a deity, very, very happy and very, very trapped." Melchizedek recalled the night he gained the ark, winning it back from the Philistines who'd taken it from Dagon's Holy of Holies. He recalled how Dagon's idol fell down on its face before the ark of God. He looked down at the poor coffin of the poor god, thinking, at least he doesn't remember. "Nay, friend," Pen agreed. "Whatever's going on in the mind of the sleeping god is pleasant enough for an old fella, enough to make him never want to come out." Indeed, Pen strained, it's making my little fellows want to stay. Or Pen, or rather Pen's little friends, discovered just beneath the sarcophagus of Dagon, and indeed beneath all the sarcophagi of all the gods, goddesses, greater and lesser deities, a cable, an energy conduit leading deeper into this fortress. They followed the tardigrades as they followed through the energy cable, following out of a group of sarcophagi into a hallway. But then, turning a corner, they were attacked. The king's servants gathered round to protect the ark, and the king ordered them all to pray. Or at least he led by example, the king offering his own prayer with one of his servants, Indianael, kneeling beside him. The king asked the god Yahweh to defeat these enemies. And the god Adonai, the ark, burned the Anakim, defeating all but one of them, who ran from the flames back into the deeper fortress, running away. King Melchizedek was favored with a vision, calling to the god of the ark, wishing for him to find a body in which to rest in, feeling that body, feeling himself resting, feeling himself waking in a coffin. The body his, he is, I am. He felt the same temptations to lay in his coffin forever, wondering what really is in this ark, especially if I am. Melchizedek felt a kinship with all the other gods and all the other coffins, for each of them were also. He felt he could laze into a comatose eternity, but he pulled himself back. The body of El, King Mel, found himself, and feeling this, he felt a connection through the ark to a higher or maybe older self, Yahweh or Jehovah, now connected with himself, the El in himself, and knowing that he was like knowing everything. He sat on the mercy seat, and he felt the power, and he saw a vision. Somewhere in this fortress in the sky, their enemy, Harmony Far, was presiding over the red dragon, ordering it all to persecute the woman. And the Neanderthal witch queen was somehow channeling all the energy of the sleeping gods, goddesses, deities, and other captive spirits of power into the red dragon. Realizing slowly that he had gained a higher consciousness, that he might have this consciousness, be this bodily of El, connecting to the most ethereal spirit of the god in the ark, realizing ever more quickly that he was, in fact, God's body. Melchizedek projected his thoughts and sensations outward into the crystal ball. He and Pen and friends all once were in to tell the dragon this. And this is where he Melchizedek had a plan to tell the dragon. Well, we've already seen that in an episode we already have out. The plan was the Pen and his tardigrades were missing. Melchizedek and El knew he had to confer with the green dragon in order to defeat the red dragon in Harmony Far. El sought an alliance with the green dragon. They discussed a two-pronged strategy: remove the power source from Harmony Far, the sarcophaguses, attack Harmony Far and the red dragon while they are weak. Tactics: remove power source, wake up the gods, the strongest from all over the world, and convince them to join forces with the green dragon. Alternative: physical destruction or severing of the circuit that supplies power to the red dragon. The green dragon insisted that the entire plan be well thought out in order to ensure victory. We need to utilize the tardigrades to get a better lay of the land, make sure all the bases are covered, and come up with a backup plan. And that brings us up to date, friends. That is where I'll place this in front of the different episodes which followed all these. So I have these two episodes. I'll be putting them up, and pretty soon we'll be getting more live action with more of the characters playing together again. We're going to get really into the final parts of this. It's been a game going on for many years, and we're finally getting to the point where we can get Ashura, the goddess, which is once worshipped by Jewish people, and therefore all people who follow that god, Christians, Muslims, Zoroastrians, everybody, the goddess of the earth, and then with El, God, the two of them, bring them back together. And while we're at it, going back into the world and prevent the son of those two, Jesus, from being crucified. Rabbi Jesus will be saved, and so will we all be saved. God bless you, and thank you for listening.